Hey everyone, Ahri got some pretty big changes in the recent patch, and since she's one of the most popular champions in the game, I figured I would do a video explaining what the changes mean, how she should be playing now, and any other updates, runes, items, etc. I predicted Ahri would be one of the best mid laners of the patch when first reading the changes, and she's definitely living up to that. Her win rate across the board is 52%, and it goes up to even 53% in Grandmasters with a solid 1300 game sample size. So what were the changes that made her so much better? Well, let's just go down the line. First, her passive is much better, especially if you don't miss last hits very often. Before, Ahri would get stacks of her passive per cast depending on enemy's hit, but it could only get maximum 3 per cast, and at 9 stacks, her next ability would heal. Now though, every minion she kills gives 1 stack, and at 9 stacks, she just gets a heal. She doesn't need to use an ability or anything anymore. This means she gets access to much more reliable sustain in lane, and we all know how strong having sustain is. That's not all though. She also gets a heal whenever she gets a kill or assist, and I'll show you an example of this in a little bit. But her Q is the same, although they gave it a bit more scaling with a ratio buff and reduced the mana cost. This means she can push waves without running out of mana so easily and can actually look for some poke. These small mana costs really add up. Her W got one of the most important changes though. Before, it gave a small bit of movement speed and did a little bit of damage, but now it does 20 more damage per point, which is insane by itself, gives much more movement speed, and had the mana cost almost cut in half. It was 45 and it was dropped to 25. They buffed this ability like crazy, and it's essential to her early game trading patterns, which we'll also go over in a bit. But her charm is the same ability, but they removed the 20% added damage when landing it, and instead gave it better base damage, scaling, and reduced the overall mana cost. This is a good change for her, since before you would throw 1 or 2 charms and basically be out of mana. When it comes to her base 3 abilities, Riot removed some burst from her since charm lost the 20% damage amp, but all that really did was make it so you don't need to land charm to do good damage. You still have plenty of damage to kill the enemy laner. Her ult got one of the biggest changes of all though, with Riot basically putting the season 12 spin on Ahri. Oh yeah, she's got a reset now. It does the same amount of damage, but whenever she gets a kill or an assist, she gets the heal from her passive and another charge of her ult. On top of this, you don't have to worry about using them all in a short amount of time, as it also extends the recast timer. In this clip, I'm cutting these 3 tanks into my Morgana and Ashe that are behind me. Once my teammates are here, we can turn and kill them. Normally, I would have to be aware of the 3 charges I have, so I wouldn't even use an ult charge at this point as I wouldn't need it. But now, you don't even have to be afraid of using ult early, especially if you see someone on the enemy team about to go down. You might as well use an ult charge. I see the enemy Alistar and Urgot are pretty low, so I throw Q and use my ult to make sure the true damage hits them both. This gets me the Alistar kill and puts me back at 3 charges of my ult. Then I see Urgot getting low too, so I use a charge quickly for the damage, thinking he's about to die and refill my charges. Remember, you can only store 3 charges total, so it would be a waste not to use one if someone is about to die. Sadly, Urgot just barely lived from Triumph, so I dash in to finish him. This is when my ult would normally end, as it was my 3rd dash. But that gets me the Urgot kill, which gives me another stack, and I have 2 dashes ready again. Something extremely strong that this lets you do, which I don't take advantage of here since I was still getting the hang of these changes, is that with your ult recast timer being reset whenever you get another charge, this means you can get multiple rotations of abilities off along with a dash. What I mean by this is, you can use Q, W, and E with an ult charge. Then, after getting a reset, you can wait for your base abilities to come back up, and then use your ult dashes to reposition and land them again. Before, you didn't have this option, as you would run out. But anyways, after getting the Amumu kill, I'm back at 3 charges of my ult, and I have full health from my passive heals from each kill. Sadly, like I said, I was still trying out these changes and wasn't used to having so many dashes at all. I thought I should have been out of them at this point, but I still had 3. I should have used them to kite around for my cooldowns, but either way, it was a bit unlucky as I just barely didn't have enough damage to kill Vex. I also could have used an R charge as soon as I charmed, and another right before it ended, and I could have maybe killed her that way, but you can see how insane the potential was there. I was getting so many heals, and had near endless ult charges to constantly dash around. On top of the insane teamfight potential she has now, the changes also unlocked her potential to make picks and chase. In this next clip, the enemy Alistar is disrespecting us pretty hard trying to clear our ward, so I land a charm over the wall. I ult over the wall and use Everfrost to root him along with another ult charge plus my Q to finish him with the true damage. I saw Vex behind him during this, and since I have 2 ult charges after killing Alistar, I can actually chase like this, which lets me get Vex flash. It's pretty insane I can chase her this far. The ult changes really unlock some crazy potential. Alright, now that you know the changes she got, let's look at a quick laning phase versus Veigar, who is also a pretty good champion this patch if you were wondering. I do some pretty important things in this lane for you to understand that can make a huge difference in your Ahri gameplay. To start things off, remember I said Ahri's W is pretty insane now. So level 1, you want to be taking W and looking for a trade like this. Auto, W, auto. This procs electrocute, and it's super free with the burst of movement speed. And with the buff to the damage, it's pretty hard to lose a trade level 1. The cooldown is very short, and the mana cost is basically nothing. So you can look to constantly trade using auto first to make sure your W targets them like this, and the move speed lets you catch up. It might seem like he's not losing the trades that hard, but remember, I have constant sustain from my passive, and he doesn't have any. That's why I'm not too worried about minion damage right now. It's like the Vlad concept. Vlad is designed to lose trades by a small amount, but win the war of attrition with his sustain. But with Ahri, I'm winning trades and I have more sustain. Anyways, I hit level 2 first and don't level up an ability yet since Veigar respected my level up. If he walks up too far, I would grab Charm and look for something, but if not, I'm just gonna grab Q. He doesn't walk up though, so I just collect last hits, and when finished clearing the wave, look at the heal I get from my passive. 51 health. That is so crazy. As I push in the wave, I grab my Q as it'll be kind of tough to hit Veigar with Charm with all of these minions, and I'll hit level 3 soon anyways. Because my abilities got insane mana cost buffs, I can actually throw my Q and look for harass without being too worried about it. Then use an auto with W to finish out the trade with electrocute, and look at that damage. It's actually pretty insane. Then, as the cannon wave gets here, I drop a ward and look for some more poke with my Q. And if we look at my mana, I still have so much of it, I'm not even close to running out. I hit level 3 at this point, so I can grab my Charm, and Veigar is definitely in kill range. I walk up and land my Charm using one of the 3 tricks I'm going to show you here. Using these tricks makes landing Charm very easy. But this first one is for when the enemy laner is wiggling back and forth like this Veigar. Just throw it down the middle, it works like every time. Sadly, I brought Cleanse this game, so I have to flash in to finish him with autos. And check this out, look at the heal I get from killing him, 109. If I didn't have that, I would just die to the tower. Then I just run to the brush and recall to get away from the enemies ins out. Alright, so let's go over those next 2 tricks for landing Charm since that's an important part of Ahri. I use the second trick when I get back to lane versus Veigar. After a few trades, he's back in kill range at about 40% health. I just got my passive heal, so I'm not killable by him. So I'm just waiting for my cooldowns. In about 15 seconds, I start walking towards him. Now, since I have boots, by walking straight at him, I'm going to get in range to land Charm, and you're going to see him realize this here. This is where the trick comes into play. I've taught this in other videos, but it's called letting them juke themselves out. Veigar is going to start trying to juke my E, but all this does is let me get closer to him like this. And then he realizes, oh wait, I have to run away, and that's when I throw the Charm. It works all the time, even at higher elos. It just plays off the fact that they are not running in a straight line, so I can close the distance. Then by the time they realize, it's already too late, and they just needed to keep running in the first place. Alright, for the last trick, this one works on pretty much any skill shot when you have mobility. Ahri Charm, Lee Q, etc. I'm pushing this wave and I'm about to hit level 6. As soon as I do, I level up my ult, and now pay attention to the angle when I dash, and look where I throw my E preemptively. I already know by dashing down this way, TF will naturally move the other way. If I dashed up towards the wall, he would move down. I want to dash down since that puts me out of tower range, but it's just natural for players to move like this since they are trying to get away from you. And as expected, he runs right into it, and I get the kill without having to use Ignite. Alright, you know how the changes work at this point, and you have some tricks to land Charm. Let's talk runes and build. Ahri still wants an electrocute page like before, but now the corrupting potion start with cookies and time warp is even better, since you have so much sustain from your passive as well, and move speed from W. It makes her laning incredibly strong when you put these two together. For items, you still want Ludens most of the time or Everfrost. I personally like Everfrost when the enemy team has a lot of burst, otherwise Ludens is my favorite. And for second item, you want Shadow Flame as it gives the most damage and some health, and you don't really have any other options, thanks Riot. From there, you want a Death Cap, but if you really need an Hourglass or a Banshees, you can get one. Or if they're really stacking MR, grab a Void.
So you might be asking yourself, why go to skillcapped.com to improve when I could just watch YouTube guides or play the game? Well, let me show you. Let's say you're a mid laner who's struggling to climb the ladder. Not only would you get over 70 site exclusive courses for mid lane, but maybe really what you've been struggling with is trading as a mid laner. Well, we got you covered with 4 different courses breaking down how to trade as a mid laner. Not only do we have the largest catalog of guides for League of Legends in the entire world with over 1,500 videos to watch, but these are then curated by the top coaches and players into courses on every skill and topic you need to master in order to truly improve and climb the ladder. If all of this wasn't enough, we haven't even touched on our catalog of over 700 Smurf commentaries, where a challenger expert shows you how to climb out of your rank, and you're guaranteed to get any questions answered by them directly. Not to mention, we're the only service to offer a rank improvement guarantee. If you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using Skillcapped, you can claim a refund, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Head to Skillcapped.com and get the rank you've always wanted. Link in the description below.
Alright guys, you have everything you need for the new Ahri. Let us know if you enjoy the changes and if you have success with the guide. That's going to be it for this one. Hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.